I know you're about to get all of my business in this interview. Hold on, I got notes. I'm ready. Okay. My ideal. Okay. My ideal partnership. So in my partnerships, I bring a lot to the table, right? I bring my experience, I bring my teams, my crews, I bring my processes, I bring the risk, right? A lot of times the properties and loans go into my name. So I have all of the risk. So I look for partners who just bring money to the table. They're my money partners. And a lot of people think you have to be like super rich or things like that. But you have to remember, I'm investing in Section 8 properties. And in my market, the average cost of a house is about $70,000. So let's say if we're doing $100,000 house or whatever, you're only bringing $20,000 to me, right? I'm financing the rest and I'm taking that risk. So yeah, I'm looking for just money partners. They bring in the money to cover the down payment and they bring in the money to cover closing costs. And then any like expenses, of course, and income and things like that, we do everything 50-50 net. I like it because again, like I said, it gives me the ability to have infinite partnerships. Um, before when I was doing it, I was doing it on my own. And I could buy like a couple of houses here and there, but then I would have to go back and build more capital myself to go and buy more. And that was really stopping me from being able to scale because I didn't have enough business, because of my money was just my money. I didn't have enough to like keep it going over and over and over like a factory. And so once I started partnering with people, I was like, oh, wow, we never stop. Like the money keeps coming in from my money partners. So I'm able to keep the operations going, keeping the crews busy, making sure that our tenants are being screened and having the right staff in place, having great relationships with lenders and contractors because I'm bringing so much business. So for me, once I did those first few partnerships, there was really no other way that I wanted to invest. I absolutely love working with money partners. It makes my job so much easier. And I really like seeing money partners too, especially the ones who come from like a 9-to-5 world, or maybe there's, small business owners and things like that. It's really cool watching them like have the aha moment of like real residual income. And then even when we refinance out sometimes and they get the big lump sum, they're like, yeah, but I didn't do anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you got me to partner with. So my ideal partners, and some, they bring the down payment and cover the closing costs. And of course, I bring the experience, the expertise, my team, and then I take all of the risk on the investment. Did I answer that? Okay, we going out of order. Thought you were gonna ask me something else. Okay, so you want to know, okay. For me, you gotta hold that cue card a little bit higher. Okay, my ideal part. Okay. Okay. So what they're asking me really is kind of tell you like, what am I looking for in a partner? Like I said, my ideal partner, but they wanted like, what am I looking for in a partner? So for me, it's two main things I'm looking for. And really they both come down to alignment. I'll tell you what they are and then I'll explain them separately. So for me, I'm making sure that our goals are aligned, right? Our investment goals have to be aligned. And I'm also making sure that we are aligned in terms of personality and character, values, integrity, and things like that. So I'm just looking for alignment in our goals and alignment in who we are as humans. Okay, let me break that down a little bit. In terms of being aligned with our goals, my goal is cash flow. That's why I only work in markets where I can buy houses really inexpensively, but they have really high rents that they're paying me. So that's how I'm able to have those huge profit margins in terms of cash flow. So cash flow is my goal for Section 8. Now, obviously, I still do subject to and owner financing. That's a different conversation. But in terms of Section 8, I'm looking for cash flow. The higher, the better. And I'm looking for long-term cash flow. So a lot of times I'm holding these properties, I want to hold them for 20 years. As long as the house is standing, I want to have a renter in there bringing me in cash flow every single month. This is my bread and butter. This is how I take care of myself, how I take care of my family. So the cash flow is very important to me. But let's say if a partner comes in and they're very interested in flips, right? They want to buy a house cheap, fix it up, and then resell it and get that big money back and then do it again and again. Well, I'm not a good partner for that. I've already lived the flip life. I have matured from that. I'm at my age, I'm not about that hustle, right? Because the flips are a lot. So I wouldn't be a good partner for them. I don't want quick short term, a quick check, and then I got to put all that check back into something else. I like having my stable long-term cash flow. So we wouldn't be a good partnership. We would not be aligned in our investment goals. Okay. In terms of alignment of values and character and things like that, look, I'm not saying I'm Mother Teresa, but I will say, I have a master's degree in education. I was a school principal for a long time and a teacher. I currently serve on the board for the YMCA, board of directors. So I have a heart to give, a heart to help, but I also have a lot of leadership and professional experience. So for me, I wouldn't work well with, let's say, someone who's combative or someone who has subpar ethics. Like they're asking me to do things under the table and can, like, I'm creative, I can get creative, but within the law. I don't want anyone trying to talk me into doing anything that seems scammy. I'm good on that. So that's what I mean in terms of being aligned, like in our personalities and in our values. I mean, I work, and I'm not judging. I work with rappers all the way to dentists, doctors, other real estate investors, teachers, nurses, retirees. I've worked with ex-felons. I've worked with, I mean, a plethora of people, right? So I don't think what you do or what you've experienced in life necessarily qualifies you or disqualifies you, but who you are as a person, right? For me means a lot. So I think I answered that question, like what I'm looking for in my ideal partner. All right. Can we go in order now? Okay, what my partners are looking for in me. And you mean like my strengths and weaknesses, right? My strengths and weaknesses. So I feel like you're giving me a job interview right now, and I don't want a job. My strengths, in my opinion, are leadership, right? I've been in leadership my entire life. I have a master's degree in educational leadership and supervision. I was a school leader forever. I've always been an entrepreneur since I was 21. I've started multiple businesses or grown multiple businesses. So I've always served in a leadership capacity. I'm on a board of directors for one of the largest nonprofit organizations in the world, So leadership has always been my greatest quality. And for me, that just means influencing people to get on board with my vision in a way where they still feel empowered and seen and heard. Also, standardization is a strength of mine. Standard operating procedures, making sure that we're doing one thing really well and we do it over and over and over the same way, because that's how I'm able to guarantee a result and a return, right? I'm able to guarantee that because I know we do the same thing the same way every single time. So standardization will also be a strength of mine. And then I'm creative. Of course, we're talking right now about Section 8, but most of my portfolio started with subject to deals and owner financing deals, so I have an ability to be creative and really think outside of the box. So I think those are the strengths that my partners are contacting me for. And then, of course, I mean, my experience, right? I mean, Section 8 investing is what I've been doing for the past 6 or 7 years. It's all that I do. It's what my mentor does. So I digress. Weaknesses. I had to write this down. This really, man, I had to think about this. But the truth is, I am not strong in mundane administrative tasks. It bores me to tears to not use my brain to its fullest capacity for me, right? So that's why I always have an assistant. I always have to have a chief operating officer, someone who loves that they live for like the small mundane tasks and things like that, right? So that would be a weakness for me. Also, I'm not the best at hiding my disdain for incompetence. I'm not the best at hiding that. And I think that's because I was such a great follower and such a great mentee, that which is, I think, is what propelled me into leadership, right? Being such a great follower and learner and things like that. So I have high expectations for myself and the people around me. So, and again, with our standardization, I know that if anyone who's working with me, I know I've given you the blueprint. I know I've told you, here's how we do it. I've modeled it for you. So when we get to a place where, let's say it's a subcontractor or something like that, and we get to a place where you're not delivering the results that we discussed, then I think either one of two things went wrong. Either you didn't truly have the capacity to give the service that you said you could, or you have the capacity, but for whatever reason chose not to give me the gold standard, and neither of those are going to work for me. I wouldn't say I'm mean about it, but that's it. So, I mean, people's experience with me, especially the people who work for me, and even, subcontractors, I hire slow. I like, even with my tenants, I like to vet. I want to know who you are. I want to screen you, because once you're in, I want you to stay in. However, I think Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey says it best: believe people the first time. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. So if someone's doing something unethical, fraudulent, or, like stealing or anything like that, you are immediately fired. I don't even think about it. I don't need to have a conversation with you, because somebody who's aligned with the ethics of my company wouldn't even think to do anything like that. So I hire slow and I fire fast. I mean, super fast, with the speed of light fast. So I think those might be some of my perceived weaknesses, but I know my weaknesses. That's why I hire the right people around me. Yeah, go. Um, I'll get to that. They're asking me to go ahead and go into a deal analysis and kind of show the numbers on some of the deals that I'm doing. I am going to get to that. I want to do that at the end, because I'm going to have to share my screen, and it's going to be like a little bit of toggling and things going on if I do that, but I will definitely get to that. Yes. Okay. So, I'll go into finances. All right. So in terms of finances, and I mean, just like very vaguely, transparency is key in our partnerships when it comes to finances. So, for instance, I'm bringing to the table my experience, right? I'm taking all of the risk and things like that. So, I need to show you my proof of experience and my proof of risk tolerance. And so, a lot of times I do that by, like, I'll show you my HUD statements, or I'll show you my paperwork from Section 8 from like some recent deals that I did or something like that. Just to kind of show like my proof of experience, and to show my proof of risk. Like sometimes I'll just show you my credit score that shows financial discipline, that shows why I don't mind putting the mortgages or things like that in my name, and taking the majority of the risk, because I trust myself, right? But on the other hand, if you're my partner and you're bringing the money to the deal, then I just really need proof of funds. I need proof that you have the money to cover the down payment, cover the closing costs, and then like a little bit for reserves and things like that, because things happen in real estate investing, right? And that could mean like bank statements, or it could be like some people show their retirement or their savings accounts and things like that. And again, because we're investing in a market that where the houses are so inexpensive, usually it's like about $20,000 that I need to see as proof of funds. And then also, I would like for you to be transparent with me if you have any other like financial obligations or expenses or liabilities that might blow back on our partnership. So for instance, I don't know if I can't think of something. I don't even know if this is true, but I'll just give an example that's probably not even true. But like, let's say if you owe child support or something like that. I don't know how that works, but if you owe child support or something, and let's say the government says, well, anything that you own, we're going to take half or something like that, and we own this together, then I want to know that up front, because I don't want to be liable or at risk for that. And I'm not saying that disqualifies you. That just means we need to make sure that we have some shelters or some strategies in place where my side of the investment is protected. So that's what I mean by just being really transparent about finances and things like that. And of course, on my end, I am also very transparent about my finances, my experience, and my risk tolerance. Yeah. I think I had everything with that one. Okay. Partners. All right. So the question is, when I'm working with partners, like are spouses involved, and what does that look like? So I'll talk about that. Yes, I want to meet your spouse. I want to get to know your spouse too, because I was married for a very long time. I was married for my entire life. So I understand the importance of having your significant other or your spouse as part of the decision-making process. And I know that it can go either way. So it's important for me to get to know you guys as one, because you're married as one. Again, I was married for a long time. I mean, I'm not married now. So if you're single, rich, and fine, hey, you call me. Don't call me. But yeah, so I understand the dynamic of marriage, and I understand the importance of that partnership. Your main partnership in life is with your spouse. And the same thing I said about like just vetting my potential partners. I want to know your spouse's personality. Are they pessimistic? Are they always like skeptical? Are they berating you? Do they not believe in you? Because that affects me too. Let's say we're working on a deal together and you have your spouses, your spouses in your ear telling you you're not good enough and this is dumb and why would you do that? I mean, that's going to impact you and ultimately impact us. Whereas if you have a spouse that's upbeat and excited for you, they might have nothing to do with the investment at all, right? But they just have a personality that's supportive of you. And, if things get tough, they're going to be a great support system for you. That's important to me because I know when you go home at night, you have someone, pushing positivity in you and you have a partner who believes in you and who trusts you. So it is important for me to get to know the spouse. I've So spouses have always been really, really good. I always include them. I've had one instance where I was working with a partner and it wasn't the partner's spouse, it was the partner's other business partner. So in some, the partner and I, had come to an agreement. We had already signed contracts and everything like that. And then a couple weeks after, he was like, well, I have another partner that I work with, and I want to see if I can bring him in this partnership. And me and him would just do everything 50-50 in our partnership or whatever. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I met the partner very briefly, but I honestly did not vet them as thoroughly as I would a partner who I was working directly with. And that was a huge mistake. It was a disaster. I mean, we came to learn that this partner's personality was very aggressive. Um, they were rude. They were very skeptical. They kind of brought the negative energy, in meetings, the energy kind of went down. It's like, um, it was really not a good experience for anyone. I mean, the way he spoke to my staff and my partners was terrible. And just learning his personality style. His personality style is very like high conflict. He loved the confrontation. He loved the conflict. For him, that felt productive to be in a meeting and say, well, what are you doing? What is this person doing? And why? Like, that's just his personality type, right? Whereas the way we do business here, we are professionals. Me and the partner that I run this business with, she's worked for a Fortune 500 company for 20 years, and contracts. She's, which is very just different, right? We tend to be very professional. We know how to get things done in the right way. We're great leaders. We know how to have conversations and get what we need without being, rude or dismissive or anything like that. So that was a bad experience, and I will never do that again. And honestly, we got to a point where I had to speak to the partner that I actually signed up to work with, and I said, "Hey, this guy isn't even on any paperwork with us. I'm so sorry it's not working out. I would love to move forward with you, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work with this partner in tow." And I still, had some hesitation because I knew this person would still be in that partner's ear. I mean, it wasted so much time, so much money, so many resources. Uh, it it typically takes us a couple of months, right, to find a property, get it rehab, get the tenant in there, get Section 8 approvals and all of that stuff like that. I mean, we were working with this particular people, these people for like months because of the combativeness and it was just crazy. So yeah. So to answer your question, yes, we work with spouses. We want them to be involved. They don't have to be involved in a day-to-day, but we want to get to know them because we understand just how important it is for spouses to come together and make decisions. I hope I answered that question. I feel like I did. Okay. Best and worst. Okay, I'll tell you my best. So my best partners that I work with, my best partners are literally like, I'll send them a deal and say, hey, I want to buy this quad. And they're like, all right, cool. And they wire the money the next day. I mean, I really like that. I mean, I don't like that they're wiring the money to me. I would prefer to go to the title company, but when we've done a lot of deals together, they've learned very quickly, like, just send it to Ashley and she'll get it done. So those are kind of like my favorite partners. They're passive income. They don't want to know or be a part or do anything. They're just like, hey, here's my $20,000. Now show me how you're going to turn this into a couple $100,000. Cool. Do that. I do that all day long. My worst scenario was, partners, which is really that one I just described to you guys about, partners and spouses and how that partner of a partner, like, really made things just a terrible experience for everyone all around. But I would say What also makes like a not so good partner is someone who doesn't take advantage of the education that's available. I have a lot of courses and things that I give to my partners, and I know you're going to have questions along the way, especially if you're new and especially if it's your first time working with me. But you have to remember, if I take out 3 hours of my day to have a long Q&A session with you and all of this and answer all of your questions, then that's 3 hours taken away from what I really should be doing, which is protecting our investment and making sure that I have the deal analysis right and I'm monitoring our teams and I'm getting the certifications. I can't be in both places at both times. And so I always send out like courses and Q&As or videos and things like that, especially when they have questions that are already in frequently asked questions. I'll send it. And I think I don't necessarily like it when they don't take the time to look at the materials that I sent them. And instead they're like, insisting on like these long Q&A sessions. I don't mind it. I'm a teacher by nature. But I think it just becomes repetitive because it's already in the materials that I sent. And then it's taking my time away from doing what you really partner with me to do, which is getting us some houses that are cash flowing and getting the returns and results that we want. Okay, whew. Let me get a sip of water. All right, guys, if you like what I'm giving so far, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. And also, if you have more questions here that I'm not answering about partnerships, just put them in the comments. That'll give me more video content to do. Let me take a sip of water before I do this deal analysis, and that'll give you time to like and subscribe and share, share, share. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and I'll walk you through just some numbers. Okay, so this spreadsheet that you're looking at is where we kind of do our initial deal analysis. And I'll just walk you through the numbers on just one of the many, 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 many deals that we do. We do a lot. Okay, so this one is a triplex and my favorite place to invest. I have a city that I love to invest in over and over. This tells you how many beds and baths. Excuse me, the bedrooms are important because remember, Section 8 pays us by the bedroom. So we really try to optimize and get as many bedrooms as possible. I really like turnkey in this area, especially because they have hard winters. So during the winter time, we really only buy turnkey. We're not really going to be doing a whole lot of rehabs when it's snowing and storming all the time. This tells us our area grade, occupancy, creative finance, all that good stuff. Okay. All right. So let's get into the numbers. So here you see the asking price is $85,000. I estimated that we would need $12,500 for the rehab costs just to get it Section 8 ready because they have a very, very stringent inspection process. And we want to make sure that we're, rehabbing up to that standard. So all in, we're at $97,500. We know the property is actually going to be worth about $150,000. We just got a really good deal on it. Okay, so projected cash flow for this one is $3,500. This is easy. You just go look up the fair market rent on Section 8 and it'll tell you how much it'll pay for like a 3-bedroom house or a 2-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house, blah, 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 blah. All right. Then over here, we start getting into our returns. So our gross monthly income is $3,500. Gross means this is what we get in a check before any expenses. Okay, our projected PITI, that is our payment, insurance, taxes, and interest, is going to be about $940 per month. And then our property management fee is going to be 10% of the income from the property. I am not the property manager, okay? I like to let the people who are good at property, again, I told you guys my weakness was admin and mundane tasks, so we let the property management company do that. That is $350 well spent. If you partner with me, I will not let you self-manage. I will always say we have to use a property management company because it just saves so much headache and the paperwork is going to be done right when it comes time for taxes or anything like that, all right? Here's where we put our estimated reserves or home warranty. I leave that blank because we have one property management company that kind of already does their own reserves and things like that. But then the other one that we use does not. So depending on the property management company, that lets me know if I need to put a number here or not. So our monthly net cash flow is going to be, after all expenses, how much money are we going to be walking away with every single month? All right. And then our projected equity is $72,000. That just means how much extra money we have in the house, minus the money that we put into it. So for instance, that just means if we were to sell the house tomorrow, we can make $72,000 in profit after we pay off the mortgage and things like that. Projected down payment for this one is about $19,500. So I told you guys, you don't have to be rich. Everyone thinks you have to be like this multi-millionaire or whatever. You literally can spend a year just saving up your money or working with whomever and come up with your $19,000 and get this kind of beautiful, wonderful cash flow, right? So we do a 30-year gross profit projection because sometimes you guys like to leverage the property for larger projects, which is fine. And so it just kind of tells you overall, based on your $19,000 initial investment over 30 years, that's going to make you $1.2 million. Yes, you invested $19,500, and after 30 years, you end up with $1.2 million. That's gross. And then we have our time and months where you're going to get the return on your investment. So because this cash flow is so high and we got such a good deal on this property, in 8 months, based on the gross returns that we'll be making on that. No, sorry, net returns that we'll be making on that. It'll only take you 8 months to make your money back. So that's essentially, we just did like the 2,500 times 8. And it takes about 8 months for you to make your initial down payment back. I know, get your mouth off the floor. I know, you're like, oh my God, that's awesome. I know. I love working with people who aren't used to this market because they're just like floored at how much money we're making, because not many markets can do that. Anyway, so our gross cap rate is 28%. Net cap rate is 20%. If you don't understand those numbers, right? For a residential property, 7% is about the industry standard to be considered a good cap rate. We're at almost 21%. Yeah, I know, that good, right? And then for commercial, it's a little bit lower, maybe like 3 or 4% for commercial properties, but we're not doing commercial right now, so I'm not even gonna talk about that. So this talks about, it breaks down for the year. So every year you'll be making about $42,000 per year on this property gross. And so after we pay all of the expenses and things like that, you'll be making about $30,720 per year net. Now remember, I don't think I mentioned this, so maybe no, don't remember. I'll say this. We have 2 services. So we have one service where we partner and we do everything 50-50. So that means this $30,000 per year is really $15,000 per year that you'd be making because we split everything 50-50. You bring the down payment, and of course I take care of the risk, right? The loan goes in my name. I bring the experience, the expertise, and the time and all that good stuff. But the other service that we offer is done for you. Meaning you buy me out. You say, Ashley, I don't want to share the $30,000 a year with you. I want that $30,000 a year for myself. I want that full $1.26 million. Then in that case, you could just buy me out. Our minimum buyout starts at $10,000. That means you just write me a check for $10,000 and you make that $30,000 yourself that year. Or if it's a really, really high one, I don't think I have any on these because these are only residential properties, but just to give an example, we had a situation where we had I think it was an 8 unit, and the person wanted to buy me out. Well, in that case, we were making like about $80,000 per year. So yeah, $10,000 is not going to cover your buyout for something that would have been making me $80,000 per year. So we were able to negotiate and come up with a number, and instead they just bought me out for the first year. So they paid me $40,000, and then they kept the $80,000 per year going forward for the next 30 years. So I hope these numbers help to break it down a little bit. For deals that are a little bit more complicated, like if I'm doing like some creative stuff and things like that, or let's say, the seller that we're buying the house from told me something about the property, like, well, I have a tenant upstairs, but the downstairs needs blah, 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 blah. If it gets too complex, as you can see here, I'll just do a video explanation. I'll just break it down in video and give you all the details, because sometimes looking at these numbers can be confusing if you're new to this, but when I give you like the real story behind it, it starts to make the numbers come together and make more sense. Okay, I am far beyond my time. I know this, but I hope this helps you, and I really hope this it invites you to come and partner with me. I would love to talk to you and have a conversation with you. The link is below. It's calendly.com/Ashley Lorraine, M.Ed. And in that, we just call it a demo call. I'll come in, I'll listen to your goals. I'll see if our goals are aligned. If our goals are aligned, I'll see which service you feel most comfortable with. Do you want me to do it for you? Do you want to work with me? A lot of people choose to partner with me because they like the idea of me taking the risk, especially on their first few. So that's totally fine. Um, but yeah, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to talk about partnering with you. And no deal's too big or too small. I've done deals where I've partnered on a 40 property portfolio, and I've done deals where we just bought a single family or a duplex, here or there. So I want to work with you because, again, my goal is to buy as many houses as I can. I strongly believe that we can change the world by changing children, and we can change children by changing their environment. That's why I really love to provide these beautiful homes to families that are one day going to grow up into the adults of the world that will be governing us. All right. I hope to work with you soon. I am Ashley Lorraine, M.Ed, and I specifically work in Section 8 investing, and I'd love to partner with you. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Hey, if you're still on here and you're still watching, I have a free course that's just going to give you an intro into what we do. So look into the description at the very bottom, and you'll see a link to a free course. It's quick, it's a mini course, but it's yours for staying on to the very end. See you soon.